There's a forest whose size and shapes come almost from beyond the realms of the imagination. It's among the most surprising, the rarest and most extraordinary forests in the world. Its trees are mysterious and ancient, bearing their heavy burdens of symbolism and legend. Their trunks hollow and twisted in ways that defy belief. Diminutive in stature, with tortured bodies, some more than 1,000 years old, these trees provide shelter for an endless number of animals. A well-ordered forest, which despite its unworldly appearance, is the foundation of a unique ecosystem, a refuge for wildlife in the heart of territories exploited by mankind. A forest that grows in military formation, a vast army, standing guard over a varied fauna, nurturing a rich and complex habitat. The forests of the European olive have their home around the basin of the Mediterranean Sea. They stretch across Greece, Turkey in the Middle East, and North Africa. But their most significant territory is found on the Iberian Peninsula in Spain, and more specifically in Andalusia. While all around the planet virgin forests succumb to man's advances, olive trees are gaining ground. At the beginning of the 21st century, more than 11 million hectares are under cultivation. That makes it the largest permanent plantation on Earth. And it's larger even than the surface areas of Cuba and Portugal. The largest proportion of this plantation, 73%, is made up by the traditional olive groves that grow slowly, unhurriedly around the Mediterranean Sea. And Andalusia is the jewel in this crown. This peculiar woodland abounds with surprises. Such as this Egyptian mongoose, the only species of mongoose native to Europe. This energetic and efficient carnivore is a common sight within this ecosystem. In the Andalusian olive groves, the rhythm of life pulsates uninterrupted. Their status as a true forest may be arguable, but what is beyond question is that the vastness of the territory that the olive groves occupy, the age of many of their trees, and the richness of the ecosystem they support mean that they constitute a woodland that throbs with life. Biologists do not consider these olive groves to be simply part of a cultivated crop. The ecosystem that surrounds them is very similar to that of the original Mediterranean forests. So olive groves are, in fact, very like secondary forest, very close to the primitive forest. and are home to such high levels of biodiversity, with many endemic Mediterranean species living here. In fact, the olive grove can be considered cleared forest of ancient olives. The tree's leaves and tiny flowers become a battleground. The most sensitive parts of the tree and its attending court are besieged by plagues of moths, woodlice, and aphids. Tiny, voracious pests that reproduce at a staggering rate. But even so, these invading forces cannot live in peace. The olive trees have allies that act decisively. The larvae of ladybirds, very different in appearance from their parents, are fierce monsters on a tiny scale. Like the adults of the species, ladybird young are vital in controlling pests within the olive groves. They're a true and natural ecological insecticide. The larvae of lacewings, another beautiful insect, collaborate with the olives in the same way, hunting and devouring the tasty aphids, squeezing them as if they were sweet, sugary fruits. And at the foot of the tree, a similar battle is played out. Another fearsome predator is on the hunt, but this one has additional artillery. Its deadly, fast-acting venom with which it will inject its helpless victims. Scorpions are a species of arachnid, and so are related to spiders, and they too contribute significantly to the control of insect populations in the olive grove. This strange-looking cricket is one of the insects on the scorpion's menu. It's an Ibero-Moroccan endemism, and its presence in the olive groves confirms the biological wealth of this orderly forest. Its appearance is unusual among crickets. The purpose of the extension that protrudes from its head like a strange visor has not, as yet, been discovered. But perhaps its main use is in defense and attack, like the antlers of deer disputing their territory and harems. As evening draws in, so the time of the hunt approaches. Scorpions feed on other arthropods, and in particular, insects. They stalk their prey, catching them with their powerful pincers before injecting them with their paralyzing venom. Once immobilized, the meal is devoured immediately. Almost like it were enjoying a milkshake, in this case of grasshopper, the scorpion sucks its meal dry. The saliva of scorpions contains very powerful enzymes that dissolve and digest the hard cuticles of insects. The scorpion then has only to drink the resulting liquid. The ecological network that survives around the olive trees is enriched further with many small mammals intrinsically linked to the Mediterranean ecosystem. This is a European or common rabbit. The olive groves are an ideal ecosystem for rabbits, as they offer a diversity of plants in high quantities and, equally important, a safe and comfortable place to shelter. The trunks of the oldest olive trees exhibit impressive scars. Each nook and cranny is well utilized by the local fauna. The prolific rabbits use them as a home, and their young are born inside the tree. These almost newborn rabbits are blind and deaf, but are still able to detect the arrival of their mother, from whom they are anxious to suckle. At first, they only receive 1 dose a day of her very nutritious milk. Within little more than 4 months, they themselves will be breeding adults, a vital link in the ecological chain of this ecosystem. But rabbits are not the only ones to take advantage of what the generous olive trees offer. A multitude of birds nest in their recesses, such as the hoopoe. Hoopos catch the insects that swarm nearby in order to feed their brood. Bees are not usually part of the hoopoe's menu. They construct their hives deep inside trees, and the olive trees are perfect for this. The wealth of flora in the olive grove allows the bees to harvest plenty of pollen and nectar. The next generation of bees matures at great speed within the olive tree, protected from the inclemencies of the elements outside. By maintaining its green foliage, the olive grove provides a comfortable microclimate in its interior. In summer it is cool, and in winter it protects against cold and wind. The shade of its trees also shields and keeps the bushes that live around the trunks and that hares and rodents depend on fresh. The olive grove has its share of predators too. Hares, rabbits, pigeons and small birds all constitute the daily diet of a wide variety of hunters, such as small hawks. This common kestrel has had a good day. She has managed to catch a prey as big as herself. The amount of meat that this dove provides will allow the kestrel to replenish her forces after the hunt and still have enough to feed her entire clutch, which may be 4 or 5 hungry chicks. At the foot of the olive tree, this scorpion is not at all comfortable. The ants are guarding their territory and the nest at its heart jealously. They will do everything they can to drive the scorpion away. During spring and summer, the entire population of the anthill is busy caring for its pupae and larvae. These are the future of the community, but they are also a delicious and nutritious food for other species. The western three-toed skink, found more commonly in the damper corners of the olive grove, has made it advance against the anthill and is delighting in filling up on the ants' larvae and pupae. It is now the turn of this lizard, a large Samodromus, to attack the anthill, where it fills its stomach with succulent larvae. This Mediterranean lizard is an awesome predator on a small scale. While the ever-active ants recover from their calamities, cicadas sing overhead, camouflaged on the branches of the trees. In the summer, after the reproductive season, the olive groves are visited by some animals that do not come here in spring. Now, however, they seek relief in the shade of the trees. And while they're here, they find food resources that are often not available on the treeless plains. Some even come specifically to hunt the small vertebrates that inhabit the olive trees, such as mice. In the least frequented areas of the grove, the density of wildlife multiplies. This is a favored hunting ground for the mongoose. Mice, snakes, and other small animals are abundant. All are potential prey for the mongoose, with its highly acute senses, its speed and agility, and a set of extremely sharp teeth. Some olive groves are so large that in their interiors they still guard solitary and inaccessible lakes. Some of these small lakes, such as the one in La Thoñar in Andalusia, serve as a last refuge to critically endangered species, such as the white-headed duck. At one point, there were barely a dozen individuals of this species surviving, isolated in the heart of the immense olive groves. But surrounded and protected by the olive trees, they began a slow recovery, eventually allowing them to be taken off the list of endangered animals. The arrival of autumn seems to herald little change in the olive groves that saved the white-headed duck. But the fruit of the trees, the highly appreciated olive, begins to mature. In fact, it is a moment of very significant change in this strange geometric forest, as the olives are a highly nutritious and complete food source that attracts dozens of new species to come here. Great bustards once again take up residence in the olive groves as they search for fruit that has fallen from the trees. Depending on the region and the local climate, the olives may mature anywhere between November and March. An impressive number of migratory birds populate the olive groves throughout the autumn. Some will remain all the winter, stocking up on food and safe in the haven of the trees. Almost all the birds that pass through here will be tempted by the ripe olives. Although some appear to be satisfied with merely drinking the water that drips from the fruit, like this blackcap. There are many varieties of olives, but all have a fleshy fruit which is very rich in energy, sodium, fiber, and vitamin E. Many of the animals that now consume the olives were actively involved in reducing the plagues of insects during the spring. One way or another, the olive groves repay the debt they owe their protectors. Starlings, lesser whitethroats, greenfinches, warblers, the small birds of the olive grove that eliminated massive numbers of insects in the spring, now in the depth of winter, survive thanks to the fruit of the trees they have protected. Even doves pay a visit during the relentless winter. The dove and the olive tree. Universal symbols of peace, the bird carrying in her beak a slim branch of the twisted and old tree, able to withstand heavy rain, frost and drought, and to create a rich, diverse, and strangely geometrical forest. In the dense heart of darkest Africa, one of the least known jungles on the planet flourishes. Some of the world's most amazing animals hide in its ancestral shadows. The sun barely penetrates through giant trees and lianas to the wet ground below. This is a murky kingdom of mystery where animals are easily concealed, where presences are perceived, where cries are heard like rumors, but where the varied fauna, with astonishing adaptations to the unwritten rules of the African jungle, is hardly visible. This complex and impregnable jungle is a little-known place and home to many mysteries. Extending across the equator where it bisects the African continent, one of the least known and most impenetrable jungles on the planet, the second largest after the Amazon, grows. The African jungle borders the wide Gulf of Guinea and reaches deep into the center of the continent, covering more than 700,000 square kilometers. The African jungle is home to humans' closest relatives. Surviving here, but beleaguered by deforestation and hunting, gorillas and chimpanzees. The last remaining jungles are both their hiding place and their trap. Here they are perfectly adapted to the dense and hostile vegetation, to the uncertain supply of food, to dangers and to wonderful secrets. Living like this, almost permanently drenched by torrential tropical storms. Water is the element of the jungle. One way or another, it is always present. And so much water, combined with a practically constant temperature of about 30 degrees Celsius, allows the vegetation to grow so luxuriantly that it becomes virtually impenetrable. The amount of rain that falls and is moved by this impregnable jungle conditions the life of all its inhabitants and different ecosystems. And the chimpanzees are able to take advantage of all its environments. In the African rainforest, water may act as a border, but it is also the thread that unites all things. Plants, animals, and ecosystems woven together in a slow and subtle procession. From the dark, unexplored heart of the African jungle emerge rivers, the aquatic arteries that little by little open out onto the savanna. The jungle's rivers and their banks, chaotically intermingled, are home to the most representative and striking fauna of the continent. Some animals that live around the great river only venture into the jungle when roaming its banks. Around the edges of the jungle, where it's more open, the rivers are populated by gigantic hippos, the third heaviest terrestrial animals in the world, after elephants and rhinoceros. Larger males may weigh 3 tons. Hippos employ the great river to keep their body temperatures down and to prevent their skin from drying out. They will doze or play in the water during the day. While the hippos frolic in the river, herds of thirsty buffalo emerge from the undergrowth. They have come from the nearby plains. Being close to the water allows the herd to relax, and some younger males engage in simulated fights that today are not a serious affair. But one day, in the not-too-distant future, these males will be responsible for guiding and protecting the herd. Warthogs also visit the open margins of the riverbank, sharing it with species of stork and lapwings. These wild pigs look for wet land. They use their front legs to dig for bulbs, roots and tubers, which they rip up with their powerful snout. Warthogs will only occasionally venture into the jungle. But other mammals do the opposite. They only leave the jungle from time to time. They need the protection of its dense darkness. The trees overhang the jungle river with increasing frequency. This is a good place for the kingfisher to go to work. Not far away, someone stealthily surveys the river. On rare occasions, chimpanzees that live in the forest will leave its protection. The small beaches formed by the river are visited from time to time by small tribes of chimpanzees, which investigate this unusual clearing. However, at the slightest sign of danger, they return to the interior of the jungle, where they feel safe and hidden. The bushbuck, a species of antelope, shares its jungle habits with the chimpanzee. Its coat resembles the play of light and shadow in the jungle undergrowth. And so it is camouflaged from the searching eyes of its predators. The males have horns that are about a hand's length. Unlike the antelopes of the savanna, being so short, they don't cause any problems in the dense undergrowth. The bushbuck is a solitary animal that will only look for food, tender leaves, stems and roots, within its territory. On the jungle floor, it's best to feed alone, as food is not very abundant. One of the few giants of the jungle is only too aware of this fact. Gorillas spend a large part of their lives looking for food. These jungle tenants have a lot of work to do to make ends meet. The lowland gorillas of the Gulf of Guinea region may walk more than 1 kilometer a day through the jungle to find enough food. Gorillas are the largest apes on the planet and need to consume large quantities of food in order to survive. An adult male is capable of eating between 18 and 20 kilos of food in a single day. Because their vegetarian diet is low in energy, gorillas spend a lot of time feeding. They may consume up to 104 different species of plants. In the canopy above the gorillas' heads, a striking diversity of creatures finds a way to exploit the various layers of the jungle, including the highest, where fruits mature and trees blossom. This is a hive of activity, mostly hidden from view. An extraordinary variety of monkeys lives in the Gulf of Guinea region. The northern or Gabon talapoin is the smallest of the African monkeys. Even the largest males weigh little more than 1 kilo. Talapoin live in troops of up to 100 individuals which roam the lower branches of the jungle, always staying close to rivers or wetlands. Females with young keep to the interior of the group, their babies born already well developed, at 1/4 of their mother's weight. It's no surprise that from under the overhanging branches, dwarf crocodiles watch intently. The African jungle is home to a curious collection of dwarf species. This crocodile, reaching no more than 2 meters in length, is one of them. Despite its size, it's a robust animal. Its scaly skin includes bony eyelids, and its back and nape of the neck are especially protected. Dwarf crocodiles inhabit the small, shallow rivers within the jungle. Within the jungle rivers, pygmy hippopotamus also hide, another oddity found exclusively in this jungle. Although they remain submerged most of the day, they have many adaptations to life on dry land. At first sight, they appear to be very similar to their bigger relatives, but they weigh only about 200 kilos and are thus much more agile, graceful even. This allows them to move through the forest quickly and efficiently. They do this by making use of paths opened up by other animals, such as sitatunga or marsh bucks. These antelopes are solitary animals which frequent the rivers and wetlands of the African jungle. They look for dense areas of forest in which to hide from predators. In contrast to this antelope, which can weigh in excess of 100 kilos, these small duikers are perfect examples of adaptation to the jungle. They are the smallest of the antelopes. Some may weigh as little as 3 kilos. The blue duiker is a true pygmy and can make its way through the thick tropical forest with no problem. The dense African jungle is hung with lianas that rise to the heights, forming a kind of column of plant material. Some areas appear impossible to breach. Only the size of many of the smaller inhabitants allows them to move through this maze, and also to hide from its dangers. These tiny antelopes are an appetizing dish for any hunter. The chimpanzees can move through the forest with ease. Our closest relatives, we share 98% of our genes with them, are unconditional prisoners of these jungles. These apes are very agile and dominate both the canopy, where they move with incredible expertise, and the forest floor, where they comfortably walk. Nothing is beyond their curiosity and inquisitive temperament. Chimpanzees know the secrets of their territory as well as humans know their own neighborhood. This young male knows where to quench his thirst without needing to go down to the river. Small grasshoppers not only look like the mosses and lichens that grow on the bark of trees and even on the ground, they graze on them, slowly rasping the surface of the jungle giants. Their camouflage is almost perfect. But the smallest movement is all it takes to be discovered by the keen eyes of reptiles on the lookout for food. The termites' ventilation chimneys are true works of architecture, beauty and functionality. Termites are incredible builders. They use wood, earth, and their own bodily secretions to give their astounding designs form. The female workers, guarded over by soldier termites, armed with powerful jaws, do the building work. Termites and ants are important agents of transformation in the jungle. And they are everywhere. Their omnipresence means they are a vital link in the food chain, as they are ingested in huge quantities by many animals, such as this agama lizard. Insects and small mammals, including monkeys, antelopes and rodents, are a highly coveted source of protein. That's precisely what this young chimpanzee is looking for, but during his break, he satisfies himself with this decaying stick. Chimpanzees, unlike gorillas, are not strict vegetarians, although the base of their diet is a varied and abundant selection of plants. But their daily menu does include portions of food of animal origin, about 2%, which they look for in every corner of the jungle. On this occasion, the bounty is a rodent that was hiding among the fallen logs. Before it's eaten, the rodent serves as a toy for the inquisitive chimpanzees to play with for a while. But they're not just playing with their food. Their society is complex, and from very young, they establish strong relationships between other members of the group. So these games allow them to get to know each other and establish ties which will help them to survive in these jungles so full of mystery and danger. And just like the chimpanzees who marvel at their small prey, we marvel at the African jungle, which still offers a place for fun, curiosity and science, the game of knowledge. Here, the great anthropomorphic African apes live in one of the oldest, most stable and unchanging forests on the planet. Where plants and animals have been interacting for tens of millions of years. Evolving together, experiencing the creative forces of nature in their purest and most unadulterated forms. Ninety 90% of the world's terrestrial biodiversity is found in rainforests. Hot, dense and humid jungles. The most alive and vibrant places on the planet. Where at tireless, powerful machinery is lubricated by water, where countless varieties of living beings play their part. The rainforests of the New World are endlessly surprising, an inexhaustible source of new species that live amongst the luxuriant vegetation. In and out of the dark, wet shadows, bursting rivers and giant trees, life moves tirelessly, intensely. The neotropical rainforest is a paradise whose origin can be found in the brutal storms that every day pour from the sky. Tropical rainforests are found around the equator, extending in a belt across Central Africa, Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, and the Amazon basin. The jungles of the American tropics extend from southern Brazil to southern Mexico. In places as small as Costa Rica, they seem to be especially concentrated. For a forest to be considered a jungle, a rainforest, it must receive at least 100 millimeters of rain every month of the year, meaning that each year between 1,700 and 2,000 millimeters of rain falls per square meter of jungle. It must also conform to a very narrow temperature range, an average of between 27 and 30 degrees Celsius, without rising or falling more than 5 degrees. And there's one more condition. Humidity is always around 80%. These characteristics define both the habitat and the life of all beings that inhabit it. And they are characteristics that are very productive. The richest and most varied terrestrial life on the planet proliferates here. These conditions help produce a never-ending explosion of sounds, colors, movement, and activity. If there is one thing that defines the rainforests, it's their dimensions and density. The giants of this kingdom are the trees. Wide-leaved, always green, they have shaped and formed this landscape and ultimately the life of all the living beings that inhabit it. And water is a permanent presence, making this a very liquid ecosystem. Water is the essence, the single substance around which jungle life revolves. Rain is a constant. There are very few days in a year on which none falls, even in the form of drizzle. Violent storms are the norm. But it seems that the rain doesn't worry anyone here much, and the pace of life does not slow because of it. Spectacled caimans certainly do not postpone their breeding season, and they define their territory by moving their jaws in the water to produce sounds that warn off rivals. While they are laying claim to a stretch of river, herons know they are in no danger. This bare-throated tiger heron is looking for a meal. This species is endemic to Central America and lives in and around the water channels of the vast jungle. Its usual hunting practice is to harpoon fish, but no small aquatic creatures are safe. A crab that thought it was safe in the branches becomes part of the heron's lunch. It appears that there is a pause in the rain. Only a few drops now fall from the leaves. The undergrowth of the rainforest is sparse as sunlight barely reaches the forest floor, screened by large trees. The hefty figure of a South American tapir can just be made out. These are the heaviest and bulkiest animals in the American jungle, weighing up to 300 kilos. Tapirs freely roam the forest floor, looking for leaves and fallen fruit. They have a small, sensitive and very mobile proboscis, which helps them to choose among the huge diversity of plants. Above all, it favors the tenderest leaves, which make up to 65% of its diet. Tapirs favor territories that are near water, which in the jungle is no problem. The small northern tamandua also live near the river. With their long snout and their disproportionate claws, they might seem an extravagance even here. But everything has its explanation. Tamanduas are myrmecophagous, in other words, ant or termite eaters. They look for these insects within the wood of trees or on the jungle floor. Four powerful claws on their front paws allow them to break into tree trunks under usually sturdy termite mounds. Their long snout houses an even longer tongue, which is sticky and therefore perfect for trapping small insects. Tamanduas ration their meal times well. Although they can capture 9,000 ants in a single day, they're careful to practice sustainable harvesting across their territory. They move between and feed at different termite mounds or ant colonies, breaking off only small parts of each, leaving the whole structure more or less intact. The jungle floor, where the tamandua make the most of what's on offer, receives no more than 2% of the total sunlight. Rising above the canopy, emergent trees grow taller than their neighbors. This is the preferred territory of the Montezuma oropendula. Montezuma oropendula live only in the rainforests of Central America. These colourful birds with a distinctive song build their colonies in the branches of the tallest, most isolated trees. It's an excellent security measure. Removed from the bustling jungle life below, the colony goes about its chores, nest building or feeding the chicks under the watchful eye of the males. The males monitor the skies for the presence of predators and to drive off parasite species. Now and then they will sing, hanging upside down from a branch or nest, opening their wings and displaying their impressive bright yellow tail from which they get their name. To replace the energy they have spent in display, they will fly to nearby trees to feed on a great variety of fruits and also on insects and nectar. And food has another purpose. It serves as a gift with which to conquer the heart of a prospective partner. Spider monkeys mainly feed on the pulp of fruit, preferably fleshy and ripe, so they require large areas of the forest to find their sustenance. They will often cross 2 kilometers of jungle in a day in search of fruit. A diet of fruit means they need to identify and memorize many types of food and their locations. These learning and memory abilities put spider monkeys, according to some scientists, in third place in terms of intelligence among non-human primates, just below orangutans and chimpanzees. Spider monkeys live under what is both a constant threat and a blessing, the tropical storms. The inhabitants of the rainforests are adapted to torrential storms and to more clement but longer rains. And so life moves on apace. Different spider species build their delicate webs despite the raindrops. Mantled howler monkeys look for fruit among the mombin trees. The wet branches pose no risk to them when moving about. And on the jungle floor, thrushes scurry among the fallen fruit, which attracts insects. When the rains stop, the spiders have to dry their legs and feet before repairing their webs. The storm has claimed a few victims. But there are always those who know how to take advantage of the misfortune of others such as ants. The river basins formed by these neotropical forests are some of the most voluminous in terms of water displacement on the planet. Basilisks are large lizards that live on the shores of Central American tropical rivers. They're agile and fast and rely on camouflage to escape detection. Like crab-eating raccoons, with whom they share part of their territory, basilisks need to be near water, and they would be on the raccoon's menu if they weren't so fast and slippery. Crab-eating raccoons are inherently linked to the near-tropical rainforests where they seek out wet and swampy land. But beyond their aquatic tastes, they're excellent climbers, allowing them to feed on fruit and insects as well. Their favorite meal, however, is always crabs and shrimp. Raccoons are extremely dexterous. Once they have disarmed their prey by breaking its claws, they can handle the crab easily, washing it repeatedly. It's thought that the custom of washing its food is related to the raccoon's sense of touch. By touching it, the raccoon ensures that it's suitable for consumption, free from the danger of thorns, spines, and other unpleasant surprises. The environmental conditions of the rainforest make it a paradise for insects. In reality, these are the real rulers of the jungle kingdom. More than 6,000 different species of insects have been found living in a single hectare of Central American jungle. But when the dark falls, it's the time of the frogs. The combination of rain and heat is responsible for maintaining moisture and humidity at very high levels. This permanent humidity is what allows frogs to occupy very disparate environments within the jungle, and even to move away from the water to lay their eggs. So close to permanent ponds, on the leaves of vegetation, the spawn of various species are deposited. The hourglass tree frog is the only vertebrate in the world known to lay its eggs both on land and in water, depending on climatic conditions. Wherever it lays them, it hopes to prevent them being eaten by aquatic predators. But danger is always lurking. Various species of snake specialize in finding the eggs of amphibians, and they look for them everywhere. When they find recently deposited and nutritious spawn, they will consume as many of the sticky, awkward eggs as they can. But even with considerable effort, some will still escape being eaten. A few tadpoles may yet emerge from this spawn. Snakes and frogs close the circle of life which is bound together by water and which reveals the complexity and richness of the rainforests of the New World. Around 50% of the tropical rainforests of the planet are found in the Americas. From the south of Mexico to the south of Brazil, one of the richest and least explored forests flourishes. Though they cover less than 6% of the terrestrial surface of the Earth, scientists estimate that more than half of the species of plants and animals on the planet, many still unknown, live here in the tropical rainforests.